class is being recorded. So we were talking about Shelley, and Al Jawhara said that he. So what else? How much else do we know about Shelley? He's raising his hand. Go ahead, yeah.
I wanted to say that, with all due respect, but your voice is very low. I can't hear it.
Okay.
It's very difficult, like very, very low. Like I put the phone right next.
How about now? Is it as low?
Still the same. I don't know. Is if the problem is maybe with my phone?
Let me ask everyone. Guys, can you hear me well over there?
Yes.
واضح
I can hear
الصوت؟
you. Yes. Yes, right now I can hear.
طيب الحمد
Now it's
لله.
clear, doctor.
Yes,
Now it's
كده
clear.
كده أموت وأنا مستريح. Okay. Yeah, let me ask you about the quiz yesterday. The quiz was yesterday, right? So how did you find the questions?
The day before.
What?
On the 3rd. Yesterday was the 4th.
Yes. So it was the day, not yesterday, the day before. So I gather it wouldn't make a difference whether it was yesterday or the day before. I mean, the content is obviously the same, right? So let's talk about it. How did you find the questions and how did you do? And let's start with Al Jawhara. Did you do the quiz, the second quiz, Al Jawhara?
Yes, I did the quiz. Actually, I found the questions are very simple.
Nice.
And very clear.
That's
yes, and also the amount of words that you have asked us to write is actually very great.
No, nice. And you wrote a coherent essay, right? And
yes.
an essay that would make sense eventually in
yes.
terms of clarity, comprehensiveness.
Yes.
Nice, very good. Who else would like to talk about the quiz?
I would, Professor.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you, Professor?
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah. I would like to ask about the first question, which discusses I wandered lonely as a cloud and point rash judgment. We weren't asked to compare both poems. However, I found that my classmates did compare them, and I didn't. So I just want to know if we were expected to compare both poems or not, or just discuss his relationship with nature.
It depends on what the question. Do you have the? Do you remember the exact words of the question?
Yes, one second. I think I have it written somewhere.
Okay.
Can I just have a second to find it?
Yeah, we'll wait for you. No problem. Let's move to somebody else until you come back. Tagreed.
Yes, doctor, I want to thank you for your time. And if I may ask, did you go through our papers or not yet?
Not yet,
for
wallahi.
me, I've
I
tried.
said, yeah, go ahead.
No, it's just for me. I tried to apply your advice, like the previous time when I asked you. Alhamdulillah, inshallah, I believe inshallah I did well this time. No, that's it. I just want to make sure that you go through the papers or not.
You'll receive, inshallah, your marks by Thursday, inshallah, I promise. I'll work on them as of today, inshallah. That shouldn't
Inshallah, I
be
appreciate.
big or long because it's only one question. It's not a midterm or a final.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Reflections on
I
the
found the
exam?
question.
Yeah, go ahead.
William Wordsworth's poems, I Wandered Lonely as a Cloud and Point Rash Judgment, are pastoral poems that celebrate the idyllic surroundings of Dove Cottage in rural Grasmere. In terms, discuss the way they represent the poet's relationship to nature and their natural world.
So you're going to talk about how the two poems address this aspect or this element of nature. And by talking about how the two are, obviously they are different, right? If you're,
Yes, of course.
yeah, now you find yourself quite subconsciously and unconsciously comparing them, even if you're not aware of it.
Yes,
But if you
of
spoke
course.
about the two of them, you did a good job.
Okay, because I found that some of my classmates compared their forms, which I didn't do, and I was worried I would lose marks for doing that, for like
I
not
mean,
doing that
forms,
actually.
you mean with one of them is like how long it was? It's like three or four
Yeah, like
stanzas, and the other is
yeah, the rhyme
very long.
scheme and the
Oh, well,
verses.
I mean, they wouldn't. I mean, if they talk about the rhyme scheme of the rhyme scheme is obviously not consistent, and obviously this is a typical romantic practice, right? So there is no rhyme scheme to kind of to register or talk about, unless you're going to talk about the fact that this is inconsistent, which is a typical or a typically romantic feature. Other than that, you wouldn't go into details about the rhyme scheme. So whether you did mention that or not, that's not a big issue. Yeah, if you haven't, that's fine.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome. Anybody else? And obviously somebody was saying something. Yeah, Ahmed.
I feel like alhamdulillah, يعني, I feel like I did a good job. I don't want to say like I did a good job because that just sounds arrogant. I tried to improve on what I did
Yeah,
on the
because
midterm.
you promised us this in the midterm, right?
I did. I don't remember that.
I
But
mean, you said I think you came also and you said that I think I did an excellent job or something. And I mean, you did obviously. I mean, I don't remember how much you scored, but I like your language and the way you conduct yourself. Yeah. I'm hopeful that inshallah you Alan, you did an excellent job.
inshallah, but I didn't improve my hand.
That's fine. It will take time, but at least you're aware of the fact that you need to do something about it, right?
Oh, I know. Yeah, I'm planning on it. But you know, when you reach a certain age, as old as I am, a bit.
No, I'm 53 for God's sake. You're only perhaps under 20, right?
Yeah, compared to you, I look like a sack.
So you still have your 50 years ahead of you. I have my 50 years behind you.
Inshallah.
That's anyway. Let's okay. We're doing Shelley, and Shelley is interesting and sad at the same time. You're going to see. I mean, when we spoke about Wordsworth, Wordsworth lived a very long life. And remember, we said that he is a self-editing author or writer or poet. He had the chance because of his long life to go back um, to what he did, and I mean, he started to kind of edit his work and change things. Remember, somebody came to me, back to me, I think it was on the WhatsApp group, and she said whether he wrote I mean, three or four stanzas in I Wander Lonely as a Cloud. This is one of the signs that he did revise and review his work. Some of the poems may look long, and then you find them in a different edition or in a different version shorter. This is like a chance, an opportunity that was given to uh, Wordsworth, but it wasn't given to Shelley because Shelley died very young. And so he couldn't edit his work. It's his wife, and for financial reasons. He was a political radical. He had his views on government, which wouldn't always be in sync with what the government wants. He was all the time lashing out against the government. So when he died, he wasn't kind of accepted and welcomed in the official literary circles. So that's why his wife has to kind of edit his work and apologize for him sometimes. She was very apologetic about what he did. So every time a new edition of his work appears, you have an introduction or a preface by his wife saying that he didn't mean what you guys understood if he was kind of critiquing and criticizing the government. She would say, no, no, he didn't mean it this way, and it's only that you perhaps misunderstood or misconstrued what he is saying. So again, the editing was done by his wife, not by him, and I'm talking about Shelley, simply because he died very young. I mean, I think before he even reached the age of 30. Um, his poetic sensibility is marvelous. He wouldn't be compared to anybody. I mean, the power of his poetry and what kind of poetry he wrote and stuff like that. So this is what we're doing. We're doing Shelley. We're doing a number of poems, and with Shelley we end the course. So it's going to be, when we talk about the romantics, it's going to be only Wordsworth and Shelley and the background to romantic poetry, the features and characteristics of romantic poetry and stuff like that. So what are the poems that we will have when we talk about Shelley? Let me see if I have them. I have them in. So when I say that Shelley is a romantic poet, so what do you expect to have with him and in him? So what do we know about the romantics that may apply to him now? Anyone?
Talking about his emotions and inner self.
Okay. That, yeah, this is an aspect that we may find in his poetry. What else?
Nature.
Nature. Okay.
Individualism.
Okay, whatever that means.
He reflects his imagination through his writings.
Okay, there is going to be perhaps the glorification of the power of the imagination, right? This is what you're trying to say.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe because he is like romantic, so maybe like William, the same idea.
Okay. Yeah, he was like, well, I mean, yeah, but let me, because this is funny, huh? Whenever you refer to William Wordsworth, don't just say William, because William, we have so many Williams. We have William Shakespeare. But sometimes people say William did this, William wrote that. It's kind of confusing, even if I know who William is. So it's either William Wordsworth or Wordsworth, but don't say William. So yeah, so it's always
Solitude.
excuse me,
Sorry, solitude.
solitude. You mean
Yes.
not servitude, because obviously servitude is something else, right?
No, solitude, alone, lonely.
Solitude, yeah, Shaden, yes, that's true. I'm trying to share the slide and the course calendar. So this is the course calendar. I'm hopeful that it is clear enough. So where are we? We're here with Shelley, right? This is our friend Shelley. So the book that we're having is obviously Romantics and Victorians. And the poems that we're having for Shelley are, can you see them? To a Skylark, Ode to the West Wind, and then we are still with Shelley, where we're going to talk about, we're going to explore his personal and political and social and historical contexts. And the poems that we're doing here are England, England in 1819. This is a poem, and we also have Ozymandias or Ozymandias, which is another poem. So these are, how many poems do we have for the guy? We have 4 poems: To a Skylark, Ode to the West Wind, Ozymandias, and England in 1819. So have you heard of any of these poems? To a Skylark, Ode to the West Wind, um, England in 1819, and Ozymandias. Any idea what any of them
No.
is about? Okay, so that's fine. Okay, so To a Skylark and Ode to the West Wind um, would go under the idea of the imagination and the power of the imagination. Again, the comparison between nature and nurture, whatever is natural and whatever is artificial. Again, if we go to the second part where we're talking about um, England in 1819, this is a poem, and Ozymandias. These are, you know, politically charged poems, poems that have political messages. I mean, at least look at the title, England in 1819. Obviously, is talking about the England of the time, and obviously is lashing out against perhaps the government, perhaps against certain bad practices that he is not too happy. And Ozymandias is a very interesting poem, and it also alludes to things. I mean, it's about the vanity of human wishes. It's about this. I think it was Ramses II, this ancient Egyptian pharaoh, who perhaps thought for some time that he is immortal and that he is going to live forever. And obviously, this is not true. I mean, for all the gigantic monuments that we have for those rulers and for those pharaohs, where are they now? They are no more. So perhaps this is going to be a lesson that Ozymandias is wise to give to rulers I mean, always and everywhere. It's a very it's again, it addresses humanity, and everyone shouldn't be too full of himself. People should humble down and show humility. And if you talk on a higher level, we're talking about kings and pharaohs and all those kinds of people, and they also have to humble down and show humility. So it has different messages to different people, as we're going to see. So what I'm trying to say is that you're going to have a tapestry of themes and ideas when it comes to Shelley. Some of them are personal, some of them about the creative process and how poetry is done, and the fact that it is compared uh, to other thought processes. And another aspect would be the the politically charged poems that he is known for. And again, like I said, when we finish Shelley, we will have finished the entire course, and that would give us some scope to go over everything, because I told you that the final exam is very comprehensive, and comprehensive in the sense that it's not limited to what you do after the midterm. No, you will have questions from stuff that you did before the midterm. So we will have time, inshallah, to go over everything. Let me make sure that my email is, yeah. I have the poems, but they are not, kind of, I have them from the central LMS. And I think we agreed on that I'm not going to spoil the poems for you by imposing my own interpretation. Would like you to read the poems, to come up with your own conclusions as what they mean, and then we can always talk about them. But let me see if I can make it as big as I possibly can. And okay, let me see if you guys can see it too. It and share. This is like I said, I found the poems on the central LMS, and you can find them too over there. So can you see that? So this is Percy Shelley, and it's to a skylark. And this is the poem. I don't know whether you can see it or not. Can you see it?
Yes, we can.
Okay. Okay. So what is it that I want you to do now? I would like you to read the poem on your own. Is it long? Yeah, not too long. This is a page, and then we have another page when you finish the first one, and a third one. So it's not that big. And I don't expect you to understood every single word, because we said that poetry does not lend itself to easy interpretation. You need to think about it, but at least you need to come up with something. At least you should read it first before I impose any interpretation and any vision on you. So let's do it. I'll give you 3 minutes, or perhaps 4, for the first page of the poem, and then we'll move to the second one, and then we move to the third one. Yalla, go ahead. You may want to take notes if you like. So this is the first part of the poem. Let me make it a little smaller. Yeah. I'll read it along so that I read it lots of times, but it wouldn't harm anybody if I read it again. Yalla, go ahead. You don't have to stop at every single word. Just let it go. If you don't understand the meaning of a word, that's fine. I'm asking and I'm hoping for an overall impression and an overall idea. Okay. Like I said, I'm not expecting much, but at least I need to have an overall impression. And of course, the poem is not done yet, but let's take it one part at a time. So whatever you understood from that part, is he talking about himself? Is he addressing something or someone? Is he talking about a process of a sort? What is happening in the poem, in that part that we have read?
Well, I've seen a lot of personifications, but I really
Mm,
point my finger on it. Can't put my finger on it honestly. I can't
um,
say that I understand what they said, but I've seen
mm,
a
yeah,
lot of personifications like
pers I mean,
pumpkin, sun, so on.
yeah, personification in what way? I mean, is he giving something human qualities, you mean?
More like giving someone qualities of nature, like the cloud of fire and so on.
Hmm.
Word thou, though I cannot say for certain what it means. Does it mean you, or is it like
Yeah, that
you're
thou
using the word
means you.
I?
Yeah, thou, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thou is you, and we use it in poetry. Yes. Okay. Let's have somebody else. Again, I'm not expecting much because normally people read poems more than once so that they can have a grip on the meaning. Um, okay. Anybody? So again, is he addressing something or someone? When?
Doctor,
Yes. Go
had a
ahead.
short had a short poem.
No, I mean we're not done with the poem yet. I mean the second part and the third is coming.
Ew,
So
this is too long.
yeah, that's why we're taking it a part at a time. So what did you understand from this first part, if any?
Still reading.
You're still reading. Okay. Reading it from where? Do you have the poem? Okay. So anybody else? Right. Let's move on to the second stanza. But it's my contention that he is addressing something or somebody, right? Remember the poem's title? What's the poem's title?
To a skylark.
Yeah, what is a skylark? Can you check it up in the dictionary, in the closest dictionary that you may have? Skylark is what? Is an animal as big as an elephant, perhaps like a lion, an eagle. Check, check and let me know. To a skylark.
Doctor, where is the poem? It was right here, but I cannot see it.
Yeah, because you're not following. I mean, I finished the first part and we're now discussing the first part. Wait until it appears again. We're now discussing the first part. I'm asking people to check the word skylark up. So what does skylark mean? Any idea?
Skylark is a bird, a small
What?
one.
Okay. Okay. So it's a bird, right?
Yes,
Oh, okay. Do we know more about this kind of bird? Is it beautiful? Does it have certain characteristics that would distinguish it from other birds? So at least you know that it is a bird. Let's establish the fact that to a skylark, so a skylark is a bird. So to a skylark, it means that somebody is addressing a skylark, right?
right?
Okay, does knowing that the poet is addressing a skylark mean something? Yes. If we read the first part again, lots of things are going to clear out. Okay, read the first part with this sense that the poet is addressing the skylark. So if you address something or somebody, you either praise it or him, or you attack him or it, or curse it or curse him. So see what is happening. Is he glorifying it? Is he talking about this skylark in good terms, or is he lashing out against it, or what? Yeah, read again. Thee and thou means you. Mm. Does it make any sense now?
Yes, we can
Yes,
clearly see that the poet here is glorifying the skylark. And also, the
Okay,
skylark apparently is a singing bird, which is known for its beautiful voice.
nice. Very good. See, any other interesting ideas? So I mean, the poet is addressing something, and obviously the bird, the skylark, and obviously, like Ahmed is saying, we're talking about a singing bird, and normally, um, when we talk about birds that sing, they sing. I mean, whatever comes out of them is normally very sweet. Um, so he's obviously talking about this ability of this skylark to sing, and obviously singing is a process. It's like writing poetry, right? The two of them have rhyme, the two of them are very musical, right? So let's move to the second part and see how it will unfold. Yeah, read the second part. Again, you don't have to understand everything. Okay. What is more? Is he still talking about the skylark? Is he still
No,
heaping praise on it?
It seems to me like the poet is still praising the skylark
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and its voice, a sweet voice, as sweet as love, and comparing the skylark's voice to a maiden, uh, a
Mm.
maiden.
You have so many likes, like, right? He's
Yeah,
liking he's comparing the skylark to a lot of things, right?
Yes,
To
and
a
he's giving it a
maiden.
symbol of joy.
Okay, yes. I just remember how he ended this part when he said, what? Peaches?
something about uh, how
He
wine.
Pride of
emphasis
love or wine, I think. Praise of love or
and
wine, sorry.
teaches. Can you see that?
Yes, teach us right
Yeah,
or bird.
teaches pride of bird. What sweet thoughts are thine? I have never heard praise of love or wine that uh, panted forth a flood of rapture so divine. Okay, so obviously he is talking about the skylark and how sweet, uh, um, his or its voice is, right? And teach us how you produce such beautiful music and such beautiful singing. And obviously, singing is made up of words that are based on thoughts and ideas. So it's whether the singing is about love or about anything else, and it gives people this um, those very sweet sensations that are divine. Divine, it means it's celestial. It's something that you cannot find in nature. It is so great and so glorious. Okay, let's move on. Let's read that part.
Doctor,
Yes, I'm here.
can I share something to the chat
But what?
about this poem?
Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So what's happening? Let's see what. Gharid, what did you share? Is it about the poem?
Yes, doctor.
Okay.
Try to read it a little bit.
You mean you have you're talking about the poem or like a paraphrase of the poem? The
Yes, because
poem.
I was searching for like for the poem, the whole poem, with
Mm.
the yeah. But so I have this page, so I said maybe I can share it to the chat.
Yeah, yeah. So kind of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Okay.
doctor.
So what more do we know about the poem from the third part, Gama? Are we still in this mood of glorifying and celebrating the sky bird, the skylark? Is he still glorifying it, talking about it in very positive terms?
Yes.
Honestly, I
Yeah.
felt like at some point. I
Which,
didn't know because I've seen in the poem. There are some lines where he says something about near death and joy.
mhm.
I
It's,
was he
I
praying?
mean, it's so obviously he's comparing the kind of songs and the kind of poems that human beings produce and those songs that the skylark sings. And obviously, with the skylark, you don't have sadness, you don't have concerns. They are all sweet beyond sweetness. And he starts to compare this to the kind of poems that poets produce, human beings. I mean, the fact that they are full of pain and sadness and stuff like that. Again, the comparison is there between what we produce as human beings and what the skylark produces. I mean, and then you have the last part. Read this part and tell me how it ends. Okay, so that last part, does it confirm what he has been saying? Is he still of the opinion that a skylark can teach people one thing or two?
Yes.
Hmm. Okay.
The poet believes that if he could understand what goes through the brain of the skylark, he would
Hmm.
produce such harmless
Yeah.
madness in there,
Yeah.
and then people would listen to.
Okay. So the teacher here is the skylark, and the skylark is an element of nature. So nature is the teacher, right? So you have this comparison or this kind of yeah, comparison between whatever is natural and whatever is artificial. So the skylark would represent nature, while the poet and what the poet produces would be whatever is artificial. And so, as you can see here, the skylark is a source of inspiration. What it does and what it doesn't uh, inspire the poet in different ways. Again, the so it's a nature poem, but obviously it's a different type of nature poem, where nature here poses, or an element of nature poses here as the teacher. It teaches and educates us as human beings, especially if we're poets, because he has chosen to talk about a skylark, and skylarks are known for their sweet voices and the sweet sounds that they produce, singing. So we're here comparing the process of writing or singing, for that matter, um, with elements of nature like the skylark and writing poetry by human beings. And again, the skylark is a free spirit. Whatever it produces is sweet, it is free of pain and suffering. But when poets write, there is always this element of suffering, this element of struggling, and this element of pain. So this is the first poem. We're not done explaining it, but I'm introducing the different poems that we have. Um, again, I don't want to spoil them. That's why you are reading and you're coming up with conclusions. And then we read the critical material on them. So what do you think of the form of the poem? Is it consistent in its lines? Are the lines the same? Um, are they?
No.
No, I mean you have, variations in terms of length, which is not surprising given the fact that he is a poet. Remember that he is a romantic poet. Again, when you talk about metaphors and personifications, obviously this is all over the place. Right, let's move to another poem and then see. The second poem that I would like you to pay attention to is To the West Wind. And To the West Wind is also a long poem. Um, this is the poem, and this is the first part. I can give you up to 5 minutes to perhaps allow you to process what we said about the first poem, and then we transition to the second poem. I'll give you 5 minutes, a 5 minute break, and then when we come back, we discuss the second poem. Okay? See you in 5 minutes. Hi, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So initially done with to the Skylark, and I said I'm going to revisit it, but I just wanted to give you a flavor of what we are in for in terms of um, um, how to read the poem and how to come up with your own ideas. You don't have to have things imposed on you. And then we go back to the textbook and see how it is handled in the textbook. Now the second poem that we have on the calendar for Shelley is Ode to the West Wind. So it's an ode. Ode is more or less like a song or a poem, a lyrical poem. And remember that the first one was to the skylark, right? This one is to the west wind. And I would like you to look at the significance of and the associations of the west wind and whether these are favorable wind or perhaps it's something else. And does it indicate life? um, mm, I mean, birth and maturity and flourishing, or is it otherwise? Does it indicate perhaps death and destruction and whatnot? Let's look at these things. So this is the poem that I'm telling you about. Again, I would like you to read it, and I don't want you to stop at every single word. You don't have to. Just look at it and get an overall feeling, an impression about it. Yeah, I'll give you 3 minutes for that. Okay. So if you compare this poem to the second or to the previous one, which of them is more joyful? Which of them is about happiness and um, can you kind of compare the first one that we did to the skylark and this one to the west wind? Any idea? What kind of feelings do you have, or feelings that you took away from reading this part of the poem? Is it as light-hearted and as nice, perhaps, as cheerful and happy? Let me see hands. Yeah, Reem, go ahead.
Um, the both poems talk about the nature and the comparison about لا, no. The first one talking about the joy, the skylark, talking about how the bird teach the poet the joy and feel freedom. But
Yes.
the other is talking about the wind, the west wind. Talk about the destroy and feel more harm, feel more about negative ways.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. Thank you. Anybody else? We're making those comparisons between the first one, which, as Reem rightly said, is celebrating an element of nature, which is obviously the skylark. And also talking about the sweet sensations that we get when we hear it singing, right? And then the second poem, we're talking about another element of nature, which is obviously wind or the wind, but it's not as cheerful. No, it's not. It's this kind of wind, the west wind, is normally associated with destruction, with end of life, with the fall when and the leaves are falling and they turn pale and they turn yellow. So these are signs of not life, it's end of life. And in the same breath, you cannot have a new beginning unless you have an ending. And this is what he is saying. And this is perhaps the paradox or what is contradictory about everything, that you have to have um, the end of something so that something else can start. Yani look at life, for example. People have to die so that other people may kind of get bored and they left. So it's the end of life on the one hand and the beginning of another life on the other. But for the most part, it's about this kind of wind, which is very destructive, which marks the end of life and the end of living. Again, it's a destroyer, and at the same time, it is it marks the beginnings of new things and new life. Um, okay, obviously, this is not the end of it. Let's move on. This is the second part. Yeah, let's read the second part and see whether this mood is going to stay with us. I mean, obviously, it's a gloomy one. Let's see whether it will stay. Yeah, go ahead, read this part.
Doctor, are you sharing with us?
I'm not sharing, obviously, right? Okay.
Yes.
Now I'm sharing. Yeah, go ahead. Okay. Do you have any change of heart? Any change of mood? Hmm. Any change? Remember how he started in the first part? It's about this power of destruction that this kind of wind has. It's about changing the whole atmosphere, the whole ecosystem, and making it very morbid and very deathly. Everything is pale, everything is turning yellow. Again, remember what we said, that this is the end of life. And towards the end of this part, he spoke about this kind of wind as being both a destroyer and a restorer of um, bringing a bringer of new life. So in the second part, and the part that you have read is, I mean, he is saying almost the same thing, but obviously in different sets of words. Let's move on and see. Let's read this part. So do we have any new ideas here? Remember how he started in the first two parts? It was all about describing this kind of wind and what it carries with it, the dead leaves, and what kind of um, season it comes in, which is obviously autumn.
Now it feels like the
Ah,
poem, the poets is glorifying the destruction of the wind, and same thing.
Now, perhaps he's talking about something with this kind of wind. He is saying that for all the destruction that it may cause, it still carries um, those dead things, and it goes away with them to other places and to other worlds. So, of course, you know that the poet writes, when the poet writes poetry and writes it in paper, obviously, he wants the wind to be a carrier for his thoughts. He wants the wind, because the wind is always there, and the wind never ends. It's obviously immortal. It doesn't die. It comes every year. It has this cycle. So he wants to associate himself, to associate his ideas as a poet with this wind, so that this wind can carry his thoughts and ideas to other places, to other countries and other cultures. And perhaps if we have this continuity of thought, people die and then other people are going to inherit those words, and then it will never end. So what he is trying to achieve here is immortality through the power of the wind. The wind is going to take his ideas and thoughts, like it takes the dead leaves of trees and plants, and it goes with them, it carries them to other places and other countries where people are going to read. And I mean, and every time a generation comes, it reads what he has left, and this is going to give his poetry immortality. It's going to be eternal. It will never die. So again, it's this idea that the west wind can be destructive, but it can also be a tool of immortality, if you like. He is seeking immortality through the self same wind that is destructive, that is also a mark and a marker of death and destruction. Again, because of its power to take things away to other worlds and to other countries and cultures.
So he seeks to preserve his will and ideas through.
Through the wind.
That's why he says, "Use me as thine lyre," or something like lyre or
Uh,
something like.
yeah, more or less. Let's go back to this. Yeah, read it in this light and you will understand. So, I mean, he wants to be like a dead leaf that it bears or carries. And he says, if I were a swift cloud to fly with thee, a wave to pant beneath thy power and share the impulse of the strength. And again, he wants to be something that can be carried away. Okay, and then towards the end of this part, drive my dead thoughts over the universe like withered leaves to quicken a new birth. And by the incantation of this verse, people, yeah, it is true that you are like the wind of death, but it doesn't matter. You're going to take my thoughts and my ideas, my dead thoughts and ideas, and this is going to be a new birth. And it's going to happen because people are going to start to recite this kind of poetry, and generation after generation are going to kind of leave it behind for other generations. And this is the end of it. Look at this and see whether it's different or the same. Okay. Is it different? Do we have something new? Is he consolidating and confirming the ideas that he had been talking about all through about the wind as being
Yes,
yeah, go ahead.
he is confirming the idea because in
Yeah.
the poem he says, my words among mankind be through my lips to unawakened earth," as in
Hmm.
um,
Yeah.
use the
Scatter
wind to spread
scatter
word.
those dead thoughts, my ideas and whatever I wrote. Um, so my words, I mean, like if you have ashes and sparks that come from a hearth, my words among mankind be through my lips to unawakened earth, be the trump of a prophecy. So through your power and your ability to carry these things along and go to other places, so my words are going to be scattered and spread. And he is thinking of himself as a prophet. Okay, so you're going to carry the trump of a prophecy. My words are, I mean, again, it's this idea that the poet is a prophet, and that this is a very powerful idea that the romantics are always celebrating. They think of themselves as prophets, as unacknowledged legislators in the words of one of them. So the trump of a prophecy, oh wind, if winter comes, can spring be far behind? And he is also ending on a very hopeful note that it is true that it can be winter, where it's winter in obviously in London and in England, and Britain is very gloomy. So it is true that we have winter around, but we are hopeful that after winter, spring will come, and there is rebirth, and this is there is a new life ahead of us. Okay, is that clear, everyone?
Yes,
Uh,
crystal.
yeah, nice. So what do we need to do? This is obviously we have a second part where we have I think how many other poems do we have? We have two more poems. One of them, like I said, is England in 1819, and the other is Zomandas. What we're going to do is that we're going to also read them, but before we read them, next time we're going to elaborate more onto a skylark from a theoretical background and through a theoretical lens, and also Ode to the West Wind, and then we conclude the whole thing with these two sonnets. Actually, I think that the two of them are sonnets, and which means that they are short. We're going to also look at them, and then we talk about them and analyze them. So, what I want you to do for next time, I would like you to go and revisit the poems that we have just read, and also read Ozymandias and England in 1819, so that when we meet again, we finish them all and then have time for revision. I don't think we will be able to meet again. Obviously not this week, and next week is obviously off. We're off next week, like, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it is. It's not a long weekend. It's a long week, right? So we're not meeting next week. We're meeting the week after. Until then, I will, or I want you to read those four poems and read whatever analysis you see around and about them. Okay, so we're finishing them all next time so that we can have like revision within the same week. I would like to invite everyone to come to, I don't know whether this is also convenient in terms of time or not. When we meet again, not next week, the week after, I would like us all to meet on Monday at 12 This is going to be finishing of Shelley, and on Tuesday we can start our revision, the comprehensive revision that I told you about for the finalists. How about that? Can you make it on Monday at 12?
Yeah, doctor, okay.
Fine by
Is it
me, doctor.
نعم?
Fine by
No
me.
problem.
Fine. Oh, okay. Fine. So again, we're not meeting next week. We're meeting the week after on Monday at 12, and we are going to all also meet on Tuesday at 2 o'clock. Before I call it a night, if you guys have any questions, come to the mic and share them with us.
I have one question.
Yeah, go ahead.
You see, in the middle of the class, I had to leave for a few seconds, but when I came back, I heard you say something along the lines of, do not write the poet's name in the quiz as William.
Ah,
And,
yes, yeah. This is because we have so many Williams in the world. If you only say William, normally if we have to write one name, it should be the family name, not the first name. So if
yeah,
you keep saying William, it's very funny.
yeah, but in the quiz, I think I wrote
You,
William time. No,
that's
I'm not
fine.
sure. So
That's fine. I mean, for future reference, if it's William Shakespeare, so it's either William Shakespeare or Shakespeare, not William. If it's William Wordsworth, it's either Wordsworth or William Wordsworth, not only William. This is what I'm trying to say.
now that I look back at it, I don't know why I did it, honestly.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. You didn't know.
Thank you.
I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt.
Thank you so
Uh,
much.
Me
you're
too,
welcome.
doctor. I
Yeah.
didn't. I wrote William too.
Okay. That's fine, Yarawan. No problem. Okay. Any more questions?
Doctor, for me,
Yeah,
I keep writing the writer, the speaker, because I don't want to be sound like repetition too much.
that's fine.
Is it fine?
That's a very good strategy. Absolutely. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, doctor.
Well, hmm. Anybody else? Shall we call it a night? Okay. طيب. يلا. I'll see you inshallah. Not next week, the week after. Assalamu alaikum. Bye bye.